Hello, I'm host Eric from Talking with Famous People. Thanks for joining me today as I discuss again the Myers-Briggs personality types. Today I'm going to be responding to someone whose videos I've been watching. His name is EJArendee. EJArendee, that's his name. And he makes various videos on Myers-Briggs. I've been impressed with his insight into the personality types, and he obviously spends a good deal of time analyzing types and their functions, the cognitive functions, and how they play out in interaction with people. Anyway, he considers himself quote unquote alpha, and in the video where he talks about ENTPs versus ESTPs, he basically says ESTPs are alpha, ENTPs think they're hot shit, but they're not, whatever. Okay, so I thought it was important that we have sort of an accurate assessment of this, that we actually understand what it means to be alpha and what it means to be a child and what it means to be an adult and stuff like that. So the ENTP is known as among the most childlike of all the personality types, and I would absolutely concur with that. And it's very fortunate for everybody else because as children, we're easily distracted. And we have a lot of empathy too. It's true that we tend to hurt a lot of feelings. I think it's also true that we feel really bad when we do, and we try to make up for it when we can. So these are some of the qualities that EJArendee believes make us somehow less alpha than the ESTP. We are indeed flighty, yeah, and we do lack that willpower quality that EJArendee talks about over the long haul, right? There's strategic outcomes, and then there are tactical outcomes. So I think what EJArendee is probably recognizing is the fact that they have a certain strategic superiority. This stems from the fact that they're willing to commit to a single long-term plan for with much more vigor than is the ENTP, because of course the ENTP is all about adaptability. And we don't like to commit to single long-term plans because changing data will cause us to reevaluate those. With the exception of relationships, I think the idea being that committing to an individual person is different than committing to a course of action or trying to achieve some sort of contest outcome. Now, when an individual talks about being alpha, they're necessarily talking about some sort of contest, some sort of competition. Being alpha means being number one. A. So, EJArendee has talked in his videos a lot about being alpha, and I haven't watched them all by any stretch of the imagination, but I do like the fact that he values, at least enough to talk about somewhat, the ethical implications of utilizing power. The thing is, the ENTP has had to come to terms with that a long, long time ago. If they're your age, EJ, or my age. The ESTJ is like, it's a good analogy. Well, he's the one who said we're analogical, and I thought that was quite an apt observation. I would say that the ESTJ is like a child that is an intellectual child. They behave more adult-like than we do for certain, but intellectually they're children compared to us. So they're like a child who's busily helping the adults carry things in, and who has carried one can of beans from the groceries from the car. He's carrying it inside the house. And his insistent, look how effectively I'm carrying the can of beans. And the ENTPs around him have said, yes, you're doing great. And he doesn't quite understand that while there's kindness in our words for sure, it's a little bit patronizing because he's just not there, you know, intellectually. So, and he never will be. He's very bright for an ESTJ. Is extremely, or an ESTP is extremely bright and very insightful, and he should feel very proud of himself for that. Um, Unfortunately, because of his, you know, the nature of the ESTP, the nature of him personally, I'm not sure what it is. It's caused him to overreach a great deal. He's discussed in one of his videos that, in fact, this is the quality of the ESTP to talk a certain amount of smack, and then if actually somebody says, "Oh, are you rolling up on me?" and then delivers accordingly, then the ESTP will provide due respect. Well, yeah. To the extent that you've been permitted to maintain this illusion, it is exactly that, EJ. We've permitted you to, alright? Now, let's be very clear about who's really alpha around here. The reason we are alpha, in no uncertain terms, is because in any given circumstance, if we decide to assert our alpha nature, everyone, all the other people will scurry. Now, we don't do it very often because we're so self-evidently the most powerful that it's not necessary for us. And we don't do bullshit like ESTPs do where they go out and they just become players and start scoring a bunch of chicks or whatever. I'm not saying we're not interested potentially in the psychological mechanisms behind that process, but we are not interested at all in hurting people. And we take seriously our ethical responsibilities once we reach a certain age. And that happens because we don't get it at first. We just don't get it. That other people, we operate on the assumption that other people can hang with us. That it's a fair fight. We don't know our own strength. Now, you have obviously, EJ, been blessed. You've encountered ENTPs who do know their own strength, who hold back, who let you persist in your childish illusions. Let's bring those illusions to an end right now, friend. I respect your videos, I respect what you're doing, but make no mistake about it. Pya pya pya. You couldn't last 5 minutes with me, motherfucker. Alpha. From now on, we're going to call you EJArendee. How about that? EJArendee. We'll call you that. You are beta, my friend, at best. I'd suggest the INTP is more alpha than you. I'd suggest ENTJ is way more alpha than you. And, yeah, you can take your little aspirational ass shit and shove it up your ass. As if, dude. Seriously.